truth, finding joy through giving, finding joy through stewardship. Now let's talk about finding joy through spending. Who likes to spend money? All right, so here's what we've done today, guys. We have laid a foundation, and now it's time to build the house. What I'm going to tell you in the next 60 minutes is going to be very practical advice about how to put these truths to use in your life. Okay, so let's jump in and talk through how we as God's children can find joy through spending. So page 14 in your workbook. Page 14 in your workbook. What I want to teach you tonight is called the 10-80-10 guideline for spending. 10-80-10 guideline for spending. When talking about how to spend money wisely, we're going to start by figuring out what our total gross income is. And then I told you this morning, I think we should do what off our gross income first? So first thing that comes out, first fruit tithes and offerings, and then it's a good idea to pay your taxes. A really good idea to pay your taxes, okay? Now, if you can take a legitimate tax deduction or you can exclude some income from being taxable, by all means, take advantage of every means of avoiding taxes you can take. Now, make sure it's legitimate before you take that deduction, though, because there's a difference between avoiding taxes and evading taxes, isn't there? You know what that difference is? About 5 to 7 years, okay? So we don't want to go there. So now something you're not going to see in your book or in the PowerPoint that will be in the next printing, which is going to happen in about 3 or 4 months, is something I want you to write in at this point. So get your pen or pencil and write along with me. How many of you have money taken out of your wages for retirement by your employer or for insurance, something you never actually take home to pay bills with, right? So any pre-tax deductions that come out of your wages need to go right here below taxes. I don't know, the laser pointer's not going to work on your screen, so just right there below taxes, write in the word pre-tax deductions, and after you subtract those things from your gross income, that leaves you with your net spendable income. Our net spendable income is the money we actually take home every month, every week, however often, to live on. And we're going to divide that net spendable income in 3 different ways. The first 10% of that money we're going to save. I learned a long time ago, if you do not pay yourself first, you will not pay yourself at all. We'll talk about how to save in just a few minutes. Secondly, we're going to take 80% of that money every single month, and we're going to spend it. This will be our monthly spending plan. Another word for spending plan is a budget. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the word budget because for most of us, the word budget is intimidating. I can't stay on budget. All a budget is, folks, is you making a plan on how to spend your money. It's you telling your money where to go rather than wondering where it went, right? So let's make a plan and then stick to that plan. So we're going to take 80% of our income, spend it every month on our monthly spending categories. And the last 10% of that money we're going to use to get ourselves debt-free. And once we get completely debt-free, at that point, we're going to accelerate the rate at which we invest. Because what you need to understand, folks, is that everybody in this room is eventually going to stop working, whether that's voluntarily or involuntarily. And I've heard people tell me, well, Brother William, I'm going to work till I die. Then you will stop working involuntarily, won't you? Okay? Everybody stops working. The question is, are you going to be prepared financially when that day comes? Okay? So we're going to talk about all of those different aspects. I told you we got a lot of work to do, so let's jump in and talk about getting ourselves ready to spend wisely. Now, what I want to do is kind of work through an example of how you might figure out what your 10-80-10 guideline works out to be at your house. So now I'm going to mention this one time and one time only. There are going to be many, many times during this evening session that you see the word appendix with a number next to it and a page number. Okay, those refer to examples in the back of the book. All the information that's in the back of your book will be on the screen. If you want to follow along in the back of your book, you may, or you may stay at the front of your book and just follow the outline. It's your choice. Just know that all those examples are back there for you to utilize. So, Appendix 4, Example 2, we're going to look at how we would apply 10-80-10 if we earned a salary every year of $40,000. So if you earn $40,000, that equates to $3,333 per month. First 10%, we're going to tithe. So $4,000 a year or $333 a month is going to be our tithe. Then Most Americans are in about a 15% income tax bracket, so about $6,000 a year for taxes or $500 a month for taxes. That's going to leave us with our net spendable income of $30,000, where most people will stop and say, but wait a minute, Brother William, I earned $40,000. Shouldn't I get to spend $40,000? No. And it's that simple, okay? Just because you earn it doesn't mean you get to spend all of it. As a matter of fact, the $30,000 that's left over, we're not going to consistently spend all of that even. We're only going to consistently spend 80% of the remaining $30,000, okay? The first 10% of it we're going to save. $3,000 a year or $250 a month, and then we're going to spend 80% of it, $24,000 a year or $2,000 a month, and then the last 10% we're going to use to get debt-free, and then once we're debt-free, to accelerate the rate at which we invest, because we know at some point we're going to stop working. So again, $3,000 a year or $250 a month. The thing I love the most about this plan is that it doesn't matter how little or how much you earn. You can plug these numbers in and you can get a good, realistic picture of what you can legitimately afford to spend every month without going into a hole, okay? So we want to be good stewards, good managers, so let's go ahead and just take the time. If you earn $50,000 a year, then your net numbers will necessarily be larger than the ones on the screen. If you earn $20,000 a year, then your numbers will be smaller, but the point is you need to know legitimately what you can afford to spend every month, so that when you get to the beginning of the month, you say, this is what's coming in, this is what needs to be paid, and I have a plan for utilizing these resources as God intends for me to use them. Just make a plan, okay? Zig Ziglar said it best. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time, okay? Wayne Gretzky said it like this: you miss 100% of the shots you never take. Okay, so let's just take a stab at it. Let's do this. This is not something that is super hard. It's just something that takes some work and some consistent, disciplined effort. Okay, now I will stop at this point and tell you this. I believe that you should be budgeting or having a spending plan for the rest of your life. And so this is something that I'm going to instill in you over and over and over again tonight, that you need to do this. But watch this. This is a spending plan. This is not the spending plan. The spending plan is the one that works at your house for your family. One of my very favorite budgeting techniques is called envelopes. How many of you guys ever heard of the envelope system of budgeting? Some of you maybe even use envelopes. My house, we use a variation of the envelope system. Instead of having cash on hand all the time, I actually have multiple checking accounts, because my bank gives me checking accounts for free. And so I have a checking account for my normal household stuff. I have a checking account for my taxes that I have to pay as a minister, because I'm self-employed and an employee, and I do my own taxes. And then I have a housing allowance as a minister, so I have a housing allowance account. And I also get a mileage reimbursement from the convention for driving my car to do my job. So all the money I get for mileage goes into an automobile account. Okay, I have multiple accounts that serve multiple purposes. So as I get paid, I divide the money out among those envelopes, just like you could at your house. Go to Walmart, buy a 97-cent box of envelopes, write down your spending categories on each envelope and exactly how much should be in there at the beginning of each month. Cash your paycheck and small bills and get with it. Put it in there, and the thing I like about that system is once the money's gone from the envelope, you can't spend any more in that category till new money goes in. That's a very tangible way of doing a spending plan. Okay, so find one that works for you and don't ever stop doing it. So 10-80-10, let's walk through it. First of all, let's talk about savings. It's a good idea to save. Amen? Okay, I asked you this morning if unexpected things ever happen, right? And you told me, yes, they do. And I told you, well, that means they're not unexpected then. We know that we're going to have to put new tires on our car and a new roof on our house and a new water heater on our house. My family, for some reason, wants to go on vacation every year, okay? I can't imagine why. You know, we need to buy new school clothes from time to time. Those are not things that we budget for every single month, but they are expenses that crop up from time to time, and I know they're coming, so they're expected. I just don't know when they're coming, so they're unexpected. Got it? So how are we going to save? Well, we're going to have two different types of savings accounts. Number one, we're going to put about half of our savings initially into an emergency savings fund, and the other half of it into a cash savings fund. Now, your emergency savings fund has a different purpose than your cash savings fund does. Emergency savings is only for emergencies. And here's the goal of an emergency savings fund. You want to set yourself aside an account that